Sorry. I saw the green light and I thought, oh, it's gone. I don't press it. It's red. Item 1, public participation session. Does anybody? No. Okay, thank you. 2, apologies for absence.
Apologies received from Councillors McKinney and Moore.
2B, disclosure of any interests on the agenda. Mark.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to disclose that I'm the Vice Chair of the Northern Planning Committee on the County Council. I will be keeping an open mind and I will stay in the thing tonight, but when I come to the actual planning meeting at the county, I will vote according to what happens in that meeting.
Thank you. Rosie.
Exactly the same as Councillor Owen. I am on the Northern Planning Committee. However, any decision made at Northern Planning will be based on that meeting and that meeting alone.
Thank you. Minutes, you've all had a... sorry. Come on.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, just to disclose, I'm a governor at North Shropshire, and that's one of the planning applications on the agenda.
Anything else? No? Okay. Minutes, you've all had a copy of the minutes. Is everybody happy they're an accurate record? Jonathan?
Move we adopt.
For that? Take your pick. Everybody in favour of that? Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Planning applications. You've got the security fence in at the library first. Has anybody got any questions or comments on that one? Jonathan?
No observations.
Go on.
How necessary is it? I mean, is it very necessary? Because I would imagine a security fence of that size is not going to be cheap.
I don't know about how desirable it is, but to me it looks like they got unrestricted access down the side until that's done. Mark?
Reading through it, it looks like it's open for misuse at the moment, and there's often drug paraphernalia found down there, and I think this is a way of making sure that at least the back of the building the staff are safe.
So it is just the back of...
It's part of it, yeah.
I can't really sort of... It looks like it goes all the way round. Just down the side. Oh, okay.
There is a bit at the front.
Right, okay.
Is anybody going to propose, well, no comment is what you're suggesting. So everybody happy to do that, or do you want to be more proactive about it? Okay. Everybody in favour of that? Thank you. Next you've got the 6-bedroom HMO application at Cross Street. Has anybody got any questions on that one? James, and then Duncan.
With this one, I would propose that we issue an objection. There's not any, in the plans, they've not made any detail at all into how they're going to store the waste. So you're adding 6 additional properties with very little idea of where that's going to be stored. There's already problems down in alleyways along there with other accommodation, and that's 1 or 2 bed flats, never mind 6 in one particular area. So it's also, it's actually sort of along a flat roof and then down, so it's quite far away from the property as well, so it's not very convenient to add in the waste in that location.
Duncan?
Yeah, it's probably unfortunate this day and age we're still building or converting places into multi-occupied accommodation, but the reality is we are desperately short of housing for single young people in the town. And whilst we've opposed these in areas of residential use, where there's a change of use, this is probably, from what I've seen, an empty property. So if it isn't used, then it sits there as an unused resource over the top of houses. So clearly I think we'd all prefer to see self-contained accommodation, but the reality of the market economy we've now got and the people working is that's not affordable for many people. So probably I disagree with opposing, because I do think at some stage we have to say, well, where can you put multi-occupied accommodation? We can't just have a complete ban on it. I think we can overcome issues of litter. This has to be regulated. It has to be licensed by Environmental Health. This is a planning permission we're talking about now. It will have to meet the council standards in terms of amenities and space and fitness and indeed refuse collection as well. So it's not as though we're given a carte blanche. It will have to meet those requirements. And by properly converting it and putting proper fire precautions in, we stop what is happening elsewhere, which is that people know they can let accommodation to 5 people without planning permission, because you don't need planning permission to turn a house into multi-occupied for 5 people. It's happened on Moss Street recently. No planning permission, no regulation, no ability for us to give any views on it, and that caused major concern to the neighbours. And the neighbours have met with the actual owners and seems to be a resolution, but that was more by luck than by judgment. So I think before we close the door to SIPs, we just need to think about the desperate needs. And I learned today I did some training on housing today, and I think we've got about 6,000 people on the housing list, and we let about 700, 800 properties a year across the whole of Shropshire. So this is some scale of the huge demand that's not being met out there. And I think before we start saying empty properties in the town centre can't be used for this, we just have to balance out. So I would not be in favour of objecting to it, but by all means raising concern. You can put a concern in to say, obviously refuse collections have to be dealt with and there has to be a provision made for it.
Yeah, I'd like to add a concern in terms of fire exits from the top floor to make sure that the people in there are actually safe. It's probably been thought of, but we should at least raise the concern. And also the roads around that place are actually very narrow. So a concern would be the traffic flow. But that will be picked up during the planning process with the highways as well.
Duncan?
One of my previous roles, I've done all sorts of things, was to be an environmental health officer specialising in multi-occupied properties. And one of the things they do need to have is a means of escape as approved by the fire officer. So all that is already dealt with. Building regulations would apply. So you can have an internal means of escape. It has to be properly proofed and it has to be properly dealt with. So I don't think we need to comment on that. We can do, but you know that is already will be dealt with by those agencies. It's not really a planning consideration.
I mean, the Shropshire Council would judge it whether they say yes or no, and whether they can control stuff by condition as well. And that will come back to James's concern about the waste and other things. It's one of these things where you could say one thing and still caveat it with the reservations that have been outlined without actually going full for or against. So just something to consider. Is anybody seconding what James has proposed? Thanks, Jonathan. Any other comments on that?
Is because we have to tick a box, and now I've realised this because I didn't realise this before, but the officer will have to tick a box to say, are we in favour or against this application? And is that right? Is it as bold as that? As a comment, you have to say whether you're objecting to the application or whether you're in favour or neutral. And I've just been clear as to what what the motion will be in terms of the box that's been ticked. Because in the past, I thought we were saying something, and then, you know, no disrespect to the officer, they thought we were ticking that box, and I didn't think we were. We have to come back and change it. So it just means it helps for the officers. If we say, are we being neutral? I would suggest I will vote to be neutral, or are we saying this shouldn't happen, we object to it?
Do you want to just repeat your proposal, James?
My original proposal was to oppose the application.
And you're still happy to second that, aren't you, Jonathan? Has anybody got any alternative proposal to that? Okay. Well, yeah, no, but you can still... if it's direct negative, then you can vote for once and just go either or.
My proposal would have been to be neutral on it, but raise some concerns about refuse collection and these other issues, but not to go so far as to say it shouldn't happen, which is what an objection does. But you can't have two motions before. You have to vote on the one that's been made. Mine can't be an amendment because it negates it.
I'm not sure that's correct, though. Because it's not a direct negative, is it? You're not saying yes or no. You're just proposing one of three potential options, so it can't be a direct negative.
Okay, my amendment then would be that we are neutral on this, but we do raise concerns over refuse and we do raise concerns over traffic, and we raise a general concern. It's very unfortunate in this day and age that we are having to build multi-occupied accommodation. But given the overwhelming housing need we have in the town, on balance, we are neutral on it.
Has anybody else got anything to add to that? Or going to second what Duncan has suggested? Oh, come on. Oh, seconded, okay. Well, Duncan's will be an amendment, and if Duncan's passed, then that will be the substantive. If
Mr. Clark.
I suppose the question.
he's already indicated no. So, if we treat that as an amendment, then and then vote on that, and if that falls, then we go back to James's proposal. So everybody in favour of the amendment, please show. Against? Oh, sorry, one abstention, sorry.
You're right.
Apologies, yes. Is everybody in favour of that as the main motion?
Yeah. Before you do, can we clarify exactly what it was and what the concerns were? Just to make the same reason that Councillor Kirk said originally.
Might have replayed the tape, I can't quite remember, but I mean, basically said, we are neutral. It is very unfortunate this day and age that we are having to consider multi-occupied accommodation, but the housing pressures lead us on balance to be neutral on this. We are concerned about refuse and we are concerned about traffic on that area, and that planning authority should bear those matters into account.
So just going off the traffic, it's also obviously in a quite built-up area. My concern obviously is just backed off traffic is the parking for the residents. Obviously with 6 people, a lot of times now you have visitors, you would have multiple people with multiple vehicles. It could easily get congested on that road with several parking spots still available at the moment. That's all.
And you're happy to mention that, Duncan? Yeah. Okay. So everybody who's in favour of that proposition, please show. Against? And abstention? Okay, thank you. demolition of the garage and the construction of single-storey side extension, rear extension. Anybody got any comments on that one? Okay, is anybody going to propose? Okay, so and that's seconded by Jonathan. Yeah, it's okay. I saw your hand move, so that counts. Is everybody in favour of that? Okay, thank you. Removal of the covered area and front porch. Sorry. Oh, okay. Removal of the covered area and front porch, erection of single-storey extension. Has anybody got any comments on that one? Sorry, John. Okay. And that's seconded, okay, by Ruth. Everybody in favour of that? Thank you. 56 to 60 Willow Street, redevelopment and change of use of existing redundant units to create 27 dwellings for commercial, with commercial units on the ground floor. Duncan.
Several comments on this. Firstly, you get the impression by the application that everything there is pretty much out of use. As far as I'm aware and of what I've speaking to the owners of the Willow Gallery, there are 18 people employed in that little patch of supposedly unused properties. So I think it's a little bit deceptive. In fact, the Willow Gallery, although they'd had surveyors around, have only become aware of what the plans were when they've seen them very recently. And in fact, what this plan does is chop the Willow Gallery in half and put a first floor on it and actually make it untenable for the Willow Gallery to exist as it currently is. Beyond that, I have a concern, which is rather similar to the conversation that we've just had, that you're putting a lot of properties into a very small space with hardly any parking and with just one narrow entrance out onto Willow Street, whereas you could possibly have an exit out onto Chapel Street or Arthur Street from the other end. But whatever you're doing, I think there are real traffic issues around it, parking issues around it. There's too much density for the bit it's in, and it actually has a major detrimental effect on the Willow Gallery that is quite a key business in attracting people into the town centre. So I would move that we oppose it.
On those grounds.
On those grounds.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. Anybody else got anything to add to that? No? Put that to a vote then. Everybody in favour of Duncan's proposition? Any against? No. Okay, thank you. I think that's it. Thank you very much.